And go ahead.
Hi, my name is Adam Ben Kanan, and what I'm doing is addressing the charges that are so-called, being accused against me and others. But before we go into, those charges, I want to reference what we are putting out and presenting on the YouTube channel, the Rebuttal channel. Recently, we put a little snippet audio of something that Keith has said something back in August or something that he said. Well, first, I would like to say that he said that we've known about this the whole time. No, that's not true. I've heard that audio for the first time last week. The person that gave it to us feared retaliation from Keith Livingway and had no one to go to, anyways. So, meticulously, it showed up in our hands, and let's address it. I mean, how for one thing that I'm thinking about, he said, one, he supported what he said, he defended it. For me, I think it's very wrong. I think it's very unrepentive, and saying what you said and not realizing the liabilities in that. Now, I said a lot of things I've regretted, but I repented for it, at least. And if I stand my ground, maybe I didn't understand things in the past, but nothing from something this major. So in the same video that he was addressing, right, that this is out of context, right? He was saying in those jails, from those de facto courts, in those jails, people disappear, right? They disappear. So why would you use them in any way? He said, in quote, "We'll call them and tell them to throw the book at you." Is that not inciting? Like, come on. Is that not inciting? Is that not bringing in a foreign power when you're inciting a foreign power to act against a member of your own states of the union? You exist from getting the power from the states, right? Is that not? The whole government is to get its power from the states, to get the states going, get them out of trust so they can operate in their own national governments in unity. So, I mean, what's going on here? And then, so he's unrepentive. And typically he says, hey, I can use people that can make you disappear, because people disappear in that thing. If you try to talk against it, it's, all political, you know, most of the time in those de facto courts, the charges are on the moon. It's smoke and mirrors. It's a dog and pony show. They don't care if you're guilty of what they're claiming you're guilty of. They're just in there to make money. It's a business. They're private companies. Keith knows this. Why would he use them against, this human being, which he completely changed the narrative of, right? Because here's the truth, because I've been around, right? Now, this lady, right, that he mentioned, I haven't even said her name, so I don't know why he said we claim power of attorney for her, because he said her name. We didn't. We didn't mention her. But I'll tell you this: we have the obligation under oath to report crimes. You were threatening the woman with torture. Paying compliance is torture. Paying compliance is, hey, you do this or I'm going to do this to you. That's paying compliance. That's exactly what you just said. You can't hide from that. So this is what he said in his little rebuttal, that he's claiming slander, that he helped her. So you're using people that can make you disappear. And I'm not making this out of context. If you want, take the whole recording, Keith, and put it on the show. The whole recording, let everyone hear it from start to end. Why not? If we're taking things out of context. All right. So you're saying, hey, in other words, remember that time I said, and I'm not saying, this is what he said. I'm just saying it as an example, because people can disappear in that system, as he said, right? So it's like, in other words, saying, hey, I'm making a threat against your life. Hey, remember that time I made a threat against your life? Did you see how that helped you? Please tell me, how does that make any sense? It does not make any sense to me whatsoever. All right. Not at all. But when I see something like that, now that's evil. Why not just drop it from the call? Because you completely transitioned what was being said for your own, your own gain. You said that she was attacking your government, attacking your assemblies. No, she was just annoying. You found her annoying. That's it. You found her annoying, and instead of knocking her off the call because you said she was just a guest, right? Instead of knocking her off the call and ignore her, you threaten her. And then there was the admission that you've done it. You've done it before. I mean, yeah, that scares me being there. I'm glad I left. Okay. So now, if you could go ahead and do the screen share moderator. I would like to show something over here because now we want to go into the charges because they made a claim that why don't we address the charges? Well, it just what came out 2 nights ago. We had to work. We have lives, we don't sit here and think about you. You don't really sit here and pay rent in my head, so I won't think about you. So I have a life to go through. Now here is a true bill indictment. Now I'm going to disqualify this indictment by disqualifying the witnesses. So let's go down to the witnesses right here. If you go down to the page. Okay, and right here, as you see, it says names of witnesses to be included for this true bill of indictment are Keith Livingway, Brandon Allen Anderson, and Brandon Gibbs. Now let's talk about Brandon Gibbs a little bit. Now, if you can stop the screen share. Okay, so I'm going to do a screen share and show some of the evidence. All right, so this is the account of Brandon Gibbs of Facebook. And we're going to go through some messages on Facebook, some between Brandon Gibbs and myself, some between Brandon Gibbs and Leslie Grande, between Brandon Gibbs and Jason Perez. Now, first one, there's many of these messages, but I want to go to directly this one right here, right? Now, it starts off on this one, and, Keith can claim it's out of context or whatever, but it doesn't matter. I have a bunch of these messages, and this is way before the fighting started. Way before. This is before any of anything going on, really, other than Keith's claim and me disappearing from the assembly calls for 2 months. And people are reaching out to me and telling me stuff. But anyways, this is a conversation between Brandon Gibbs and Leslie Grande, and it starts off by saying this should be interesting, and I'm not only one who will be there to defend the truth. That's what Leslie says. Brandon Gibbs says, I saw that. What's between Adam and Keith will probably never be resolved, and that's between them. But what pisses me off is that we have the right to self-determination. Then I see Carter Grant post the right to doesn't mean ought to. So we ought not to have the right to self-determination. Fuck that. Leslie, and this is where it gets really important. Okay? This is where Leslie says the important thing is what is right. Keith violated social compact. Brandon Gibbs comes back and says the General Postmaster Council will never hold him accountable. So what's the point? There you go. There you have it. So you have one big rigged case where one of your witnesses even claims it. We won't stand and accept that. We have the right to say, okay, that doesn't admit as a witness. We have the right to reject that and not notice it or recognize it at all. You have nothing. Okay? Second of all, let's go through the messages between Brandon Gibbs and maybe myself. Let's see. I can go through them. I have a telegram, but I need an invite. I sure wish you would come back. I let my feelings be well known about the situation with you and how it is all bullcrap. I know you are not a thief and it was purely accidental. I don't know what was accidental. Well, one, he is right. I'm not a thief. I didn't steal anything from Keith, right? He couldn't prove that I didn't steal from his general Genoa Institute, right? So he went from me not proving that he could prove that I stole from the Genoa Institute to I stole from T Rose show. There's about 200 broadcasts on T Rose shows where stuff he regurgitated from the internet. Okay, I know I sat and watched him put T Rose together. I've been on them. I've been around a lot of them where he did them live. Okay, I know how he does T Rose. It's a lot of stuff that he regurgitates. It's not. It doesn't come from him. And when I teach the stuff, I never claim to own it because it's not mine. In fact, it's pretty much public property. History is public property. Okay, you know, um, it's intellectual public property, but it's still public property. It belongs to everybody. You know, and then what? I can't make money off of public property. That's a lie. Of course, I can make money off of public property. Everybody can. You know, you claim to have a public office, right? Postmaster General of a government. I don't recognize it because the way you treat people, you don't operate like that. And the law of nations says you don't operate like that. That's why you don't have a government. You can't do the things you're doing and violate due process and think people are going to follow it. So the reality is he's publishing all these libels on us, right? Because he doesn't want to see that people left this thing. They left. And the reason they left is because he was singling me out to arbitrarily exile me. And I'll show you how the whole fight started. But people are saying that I'm not a thief, you know? You know, Keith is very against cannabis. He's very biased and against it, right? And I've said many times to him, it's not an impairment drug, okay? I don't care what people do with it. It's not affecting me at all. No one can say it affects them at all either, you know, if someone else does it because it's not an impairment drug. It doesn't affect them by judgment or motor functions. So you're attacking something that, you know, a lot of people do, and it's going to piss a lot of people off. They have the right to self-determination and freedom to do it. And it's not drug sorcery, since people are still um, pretty much sane when they do it. They don't lose judgment. They don't, you know, they don't consume cannabis any way they do it, even smoke it and become stupid. It doesn't happen. I've been on 20-foot ladders pressure washing homes after smoking cannabis, painting them on 20-foot ladders. Okay. I've done jobs with saws and everything, measurements and everything. I don't care what you have to say. It hasn't affected me ever. Not my performance or anything. So stop doing what you're doing, because what you've done is attempted murder. You called me or said I'm forming a drug cartel. Drug cartels, right, are pretty much the same as domestic terrorists. They go around committing crime and terrorizing people so they could sell the drugs, right? They create prohibition so it narrows it to a criminal class that does it. So you're gonna say I'm forming a drug cartel when I've never sold drugs a day in my life? I smoke cannabis, but I have not even sold cannabis, not once. I don't consider it even a drug, sorcery or anything like that. But back to the point, right? I want to go back to this one screenshot right here, where it says the General Postmaster Council will never hold him accountable. So what's the point? So now I want to do a screen share, and I'm gonna stop this screen share so the moderator can share his screen, and I'm gonna show him the notice of acceptance of the hearing. Can you do that, moderator? Yeah. So I wanted to comment on this because this is a due process violation. This is in fact a due process violation. So we're gonna look at the notice of hearing for that indictment, right? So let's go into that. Okay. So this is the notice of hearing, all right? And if you scroll down, moderator. Yeah, and I wanted to comment in regards to that, message, because what happened yesterday was a due process violation. Because if you go up to, if you see right here, the signature here is for Kevin Lloyd Lakes, and he's an international notary for the Human Rights Tribunal. If you go to the Human Rights Tribunal website, he's the chief judge on the Human Rights Tribunal, and he's also the chief judge on the General Postmaster Council. Okay? So he was on the call yesterday making comments with Keith. That's a due process violation. It doesn't matter if he doesn't sit as an international notary on this case. If any of the people have problems with one of the judges, the behavior of the judges, it's supposed to go to the chief judge, right? So the moment he started making comments, doesn't matter if he was making there in his private capacity, he was talking about the case and he was talking about this stuff. That's a due process violation. You cannot talk about a case when there's a hearing. Okay? This thing is so bizarre and so out of control with the due process violations. And we said it from the beginning. The moment you violate due process, that's it. It's done. A court is a benefit. That's the whole point. It's there to correct the record. You think we're going to trust you to correct the record? Are you serious? You published libel after libel and you put a hit on me 3 times. Now you're being charged with attempted murder, Keith Edward Livingway. Okay, so you came forward and charged me with rebellion, sedition, resurrection, conspiracy to overthrow a government, because I put a rebuttal video after you made a video, put it on YouTube and said I need to be put to death for treason when no treason happened. You can't charge me with treason because you have no way to prove it because none happened. Okay, I'm gonna show everyone what happened. Okay, and how so much claims were thrown at me, and at everyone here, that everyone could see the ridiculousness in how all this happens with between Keith and us. Because right now, right, he's for a month gone on to his T-Row show and said lie after lie after lie, keep on talking about us when we haven't talked about him. We kept on being quiet for over a month. We made sure to be quiet because we didn't want to be a part of him. We didn't want to be forced into his vendetta. That's forced association because he wants to be vindictive. We went away. I don't know if you guys noticed, we haven't said anything to them. The only person that said something was Sean Beller, and pretty much, we all talked with each other because Keith paired us together in his newspapers or whatever. So we started talking, and, we're actually friends. If we ever had differences in the past, we repent and forgive each other. That's the difference, because Keith is refusing to go to peace. He's refusing to settle. We've left him alone, right? The one guy that's been saying something to them, Sean Beller, we got rid of him. He's been annoying the hell out of us by saying stuff to them and then coming back to us with what he said. And we were like, get out of here. We don't want to talk to them. We want it out. Okay? So this is just forced association to his personal and private vendetta because people left, and he doesn't want people to see that people left. So he's throwing a bunch of accusations at us. And what he's doing is called cyberbullying. This is why we are coming and saying something, because he's cyberbullying. Okay? He is putting a hit on me over the internet. He came forward and said, I'm creating a drug cartel. Really? I seen how drug cartels get treated. I'm not in favor of them. They commit crimes, but they get shot on sight. Do I want to get shot on sight? Are you crazy? This is what happened. Okay? But before I get into that, I want to say first, before it loses my train of thought, right? A tribunal, and this is listed in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. A tribunal is supposed to be independent and impartial. Okay? Independent and impartial. If you look at any constitution and the state constitutions, even the Articles of Confederation, the legislator is separate from the judicial, which is separate from the executive. Okay? They cannot control each other. There's a checks and balances that's supposed to be there. And what happens, right? There is no checks and balances because Keith, and I've witnessed this myself, right, turns cases down all the time. He's not part of the judicial. He's a postmaster general. What is he doing turning down cases? I know for a fact because I was there on committee and I witnessed it. One of our, American nationals, Valerie Zaccaro, was in a car accident and she had a pistol on her. I don't care if she had a pistol. That's private property. She wasn't committing any crime with it. She has the right to own private property, including a pistol. It's called self-defense. Okay? I have the right to defend my life. I have the right to defend my existence, and I have the right to defend my freedom. Nobody has the right to say otherwise. So he turned down a case that Valerie was trying to submit in the Human Rights Tribunal over her getting unlawfully incarcerated, tortured, right, for having private property that she had the right to exercise and use. The way she was using it, keeping it on her for self-defense. That's not a weapon, that's a tool. They had no right as communists to turn down to start that case against her. That's called forced association. That's called, deprivation of human rights. Keith had no right turning that case away. He cannot say we're not using this government resources to do that. No, you have no right. That thing is supposed to go to the jury, and it was supposed to go to the court. And you could be over here and say, well, you knew about this. Why you didn't say anything? Yeah, I did a lot of mistakes. I messed up. I fell for it. I fell for the division, the divide and conquer. There was a lot of people that could have been treated a lot better and handled a lot better that they didn't go out of whack and crazy. A lot of people. I was a part of the problem because, I thought, defending a social compact and protecting someone in that social compact, had its benefits. I thought I was gaining a friend, right? And I thought I was in return, gonna get some protection back. Not for anything in particular, but just because my life matters. Okay? If you don't sit there and say your life matters, right? Then you haven't forgiven yourself. And if you haven't forgiven yourself, you can't forgive anybody else. How you expect God to forgive you? You need to have forgiveness for yourself. So, we've been trying to go away and, we don't want any of this because let's put it like this. We know there's no due process. We put in objections, and we're gonna show the screenshots in a minute. We put objections and rebutted his newspaper, and they deleted the objections. If it's a newspaper, right, and you're there to correct the record, get the whole record out there, right? Why hide and conceal the opposition, story? Why? Isn't that totalitarianism? Isn't that violation of free speech? So only people can hear your story. They can't hear our story. But when we go into our own channel and you can't have any control over it, now you freak out and panic. Okay? So there is no impartial and independent, tribunal going there because you can tell Kevin, right, something and Kevin will listen. Kevin will never rule against you, and there's a lot of people that know that, and so the other GPMs. And here's the thing, sometimes in the back I knew it was wrong and I didn't say anything because I fell for it. But and in the end I lost what I was trying to, what I was keeping silent, trying to keep, right? And then I realized it's fake. It's fake because you can't just kick someone out of a social compact. All right? So I want to go back real quick. All right, so I'm gonna do a screen share to show a little more of the messages between Brandon Gibbs and myself. And here's another one, right? I ask him, this might be out of context, but the context here is very legitimate, you know, it's directive and clear. I mean, there's clarity. Your reputation is not shot with me or Leslie or anyone that knows the truth. Yeah, but that is only a few. I know an honest mistake when I see one. You are not a thief. And to me, it wasn't a mistake given. He was a little overprotective of his business. Okay? Overprotective of his business. I want you guys to remember that. I saw you posted in Telegram. I hope that Keith reconsiders his actions towards you. An honest mistake is an honest mistake. I didn't make a mistake. I'm going to go through exactly what happened, chain of title, sequence by sequence, and what led to everything today. Okay? This is Brandon Gibbs. It's okay. He is where he needs to be. And okay, this is off context, actually. This has nothing to do with Keith. This is about David Smith, who passed away. All right, this is about talking about cannabis. Now, Brandon is a very high cannabis user. Okay, he showed me pictures of plants. I have nothing against it. It's none of my business. The only part of the business is just the fact that he shared it with me. And I was like, okay, nice plants. I'm not against cannabis whatsoever. As far as to me, that's his private property. He has whatever free use of his private property. He's not harm. I know he's not harming other people with cannabis. You know, I don't sell it personally. I don't want to sell it. I don't have any intention to sell it. But it's none of my business if someone else sells it. And he says exactly about 60% of the country smokes, including GPMs. Including GPMs. I was told to hide it, but I won't. I don't hide shit. He was told to hide it from GPMs. Hmm. Well, how many are there? Because I know a lot of GPMs that smoke pot, smoke cannabis. It's only bad that I did it, but all the other GPMs that did it, it's okay. You know? Okay, here's this. What really, really bothers me is that Rosa asked me, a resident declarant, how to get a hold of Keith, which tells me that David is expendable too, because he hasn't kept in any type of contact with them. He will have to answer someday for all of this. Maybe not on this earth, but when he passes someday. So, um, you know, here's the thing, right? Before Keith kicks me out of the GPO, I buy a trust from him. I spent $350. Buy a trust. You know, a week later, he just freaks out and what he claimed against me. But over here, you know, you have a man who buys a trust from Keith, right? And when he starts getting sick with cancer, you know, stomach cancer, and dies from it, like he's on his deathbed. He already died. He passed away a few weeks ago. You know, I felt really bad because you know, I've had you know, I wouldn't say, you know, a fight or anything. We had just like an issue where, you know, he didn't properly service my case. And my issue is that with me is that he said he was sick and this is the start of it, and I didn't know how sick he was. And because of it, my case, you know, wasn't serviced all the way. And I had to forgive myself that I've ever had any thoughts like that against David, because now that he died or whatever, I mean, that hit me. That's when I went to Keith and started talking about, you know, forgiveness maybe for something I didn't do, right? But the way I was raised, especially with my mom, and she always used to tell me, you know, and I don't mean to put my dad out there, and I love my dad, but when there was times, you know, because we're all human beings, but when there's times that my dad was wrong, my mom just said, just go apologize, just to, you know, actually fix the situation. So this is the point I want to make. I do apologize. and especially when I'm wrong, and sometimes when I'm not. But from the last 3.5 years that I was around the GPO, and others have claimed the same thing, I've never heard Keith Livingway apologize, not once, never. I don't recall him ever apologizing or saying sorry to anybody. That should be a common thing with every single human being in this world, because we're imperfect and we're sinners. There's a checks and balances and a republic for a reason. We're not perfect human beings. We're supposed to fix ourselves. Okay? So you have a man that is never, I've never heard sorry, and much people agree and said the same thing. I'm not lying here. Okay? So this woman, Rosa, was trying to reach Keith, and he just kept on ignoring her, is what is being said from her. Guy's on his deathbed. Out of trust. They want to make sure that the property is inherited to the correct beneficiaries. You're not going to help the man? It was only until I mentioned something to Brandon Gibbs to put it in chat or something like that. Actually, I'm sorry. I gave it to Leslie. Yes, I gave it to Leslie to put it in chat, and she put it in Telegram. And then Keith started saying, "Oh, poor David." Oh. And then Brandon Gibbs started saying something, and he's like, "Okay, how do I Keith goes, "How do I contact Rosa?" I'm like, "Wow. Yeah, I did that purposely. Yeah, I did do that. That was no entrapment. I wasn't an entrapment. I was trying to get you to freaking fix a problem. You weren't contacting a woman." And this is after you kicked me out of the GPO and I was gone for 2 months. I still came back, and I still gave information to people that put it into the ANU and everything that you put on your T-Row shows, even after I was gone. My grandma always said, "What don't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse." Yeah, good point, Brandon Gibbs. Just a matter of time before the moment will be right to address this, and I'm not laying wait for the opportunity. I'm not a yes man. You were a yes man when you said you agreed to witness that indictment and then go into the ANU and become an office holder by bashing us when you were claiming we were friends, right? Okay. You did everything for a status of standing, which before you were saying you would walk away for a status of standing if he attacked your rights, your freedom. You're doing the right thing. I think last night in the chat, one of the members asked why the count was so low and nobody responded. I sure wanted to, but I did not hold my tongue. I don't care if you believe me. I'm just going to show the evidence today, and then you're just going to look at it, and that's it. Let's go to the chain of title of this. So I want to do a screen share for a moment, and we're going to go into messages between Brandon Gibbs reaching out to Jason Perez. So now you see here Brandon Gibbs initiates with David Perez. David Perez doesn't reach out to Brandon Gibbs. Okay. Now take in mind, right? There was a claim that, Matthew Emerson, Jason Perez, and myself were conspiring against to overthrow the government of the United States of America. And this came in the beginning of December. I haven't spoken to Jason Perez and Matthew Emerson for months since they left. Okay, since they left ANU months and months ago. Right. The reason why we're talking now, and we're friends, and we're good people, and whatever happened in the past, we friends repent and come together or whatever. The point is that we got paired together in the publishings from their newspapers, the Continental Free Press, the Reign of the Heavens, the American Herald, all those. Okay. So we see here that Brandon Gibbs reaches out to Jason Perez and he says, "Hey there, I haven't seen you in meetings for a while. Hope you are doing well." Jason replies, "Hi, Brandon. What meetings are you referring to?" He says, "The Monday and Tuesday night Zoom meetings." Um, "Oh, I'm never returning to those meetings ever again." Um, Brandon comes back and he says, "Oh, I've seen that a lot of people quit doing them, kind of concerning of what's really going on." So now Brandon Gibbs is questioning, why are people leaving the calls? All right. "You are not aware of my reasons, Brandon?" "Nope. I know key people quit." "Well, I stopped attending about 3 or 4 months ago because Keith Livingway." He says, "I was afraid you were going to say that." A fellow assembly member, Matthew Emerson, was being targeted by Livingway. Livingway became obsessed with having Matthew admit he had an addiction to pot, cannabis, really. Matthew disagreed, and the more Matthew wouldn't submit to King Livingway diagnosis of him, the character assassination began. Matt was riding around with a friend in Texas, about to go to a friend's house, have a smoke, and play some video games. His so-called friend makes a sharp turn and attracts the attention of a cop. He replies, "Someone I know saw the video of the arrest. I know a bit about it." Um, I can't really read that one because arrow. Eventually, we found his arrest and ANU was contacted. John prepares paperwork and consults with Keith on it, and Keith says don't do anything. John ignores Keith and sends the paperwork anywhere. Keith interfered with ANU government coming to the aid of a resident. He comes back and says, "I didn't know about the pills, but Keith has targeted people for pot, and I just let it be known I'll die stateless before I give up my beliefs." Wow, if he does that, he is defeating the purpose of a separate union. Okay? Okay. So now I want to go throughout the chain of title of this story, like what happened back to back. Um, when you look from the beginning, what happened is that I was offering classes and people were taking them. And what happened was I was getting business, and Keith Livingway got jealous. I don't care if he says I'm claiming power of attorney for him, I'm speaking for him. This is what I see in his actions. This is what I'm accusing him. He got jealous that people were taking my class and I was getting business. So the first thing that happened is he accused me of stealing material from his Genoa Institute. When he couldn't prove that I didn't steal any his material, he sent he then started accusing me of stealing, stuff from T Row Show. Okay. Now, I talked a lot about chain of title, history. I talked a lot about affidavits, due process, and court structure. Um, the information that I talked about, I did my own research. Some of the stuff, yeah, maybe I've learned from Keith, or some of the stuff were on T Row Show. That doesn't mean T Row Show owns it. you know what I really did is I took chain of title, like the scriptures, law of nations, the articles of association of 1774, the Continental Army of 1775, the General Post Office of 1775, the Declaration of Independence of 1776, the Articles of Confederation 1781, and the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. Then I talked about the state constitutions. Please tell me how Keith can be the only one that can teach stuff like that. He didn't even write it. He wasn't even alive when that stuff was written. Okay, so I did research, my own research on the internet, and I got notes together and I started teaching about that. You know, I knew a lot of stuff about equity. I started teaching a little bit about equity and court structure, you know, due process. So, because I was offering these classes, and now all that information's on T Row, maybe it is. I'm not saying it's not, but T-Row doesn't have the only right to, you know, claim to, teach that stuff. That's ridiculous. Every history teacher would have to pay loyalties to Keith. I'm serious. That's a ridiculous claim. I can't teach some history. I can't ask for whoever takes my class. I put an offer out there. Okay, it was an offer. You I told people what the subjects are. Okay, people took my class. They accepted. They wanted to take my class. There was only one guy, and his name was Brandon Anderson. He was the only guy that has anything to say against my classes, and it's obviously he did it to gain favor from Keith, and that's exactly what he did. And another guy, William Ruffett, who signed the indictment, he also did it to gain favor from Keith. Why? Because they fell for what I fell for. The last 3 years, right? I've been protecting and defending Keith. Anytime someone said anything against Keith, I defended that man. Where did that got me today? Do you see what's happening to me today? I had 3 attempts on my life from Keith in cyberbullying on the internet. 3 attempts already. He went on T-Row the first time and said I need to be put to death. Then he said I was creating a drug cartel. And then he mentioned something about my Vimeo account, and I'll mention about that a little later. But to go further into the chain of title, right? So when he couldn't convince anybody that I stolen material from T-Row show because there's like 200 episodes, who cares how many episodes? Because there's so much information. Anyone could talk about something, and it could be on T-Row. Because he talks about so much stuff. There's hours and countless of hours on T-Row. Right? The point is, the information that I taught was not invented from Keith. He has no right to claim a totalitarian claim that he can be the only one to teach the stuff and make money off of it. Right? And that what happened, right, is first, this all happened spiritually. This is spiritual, right? He violated letter F of the social compact that we were in, where it says, under the veil of competition, can you not ruin another person for, ruin his talents and all that? Under the veil of competition. Meaning I can compete against him if I want to in business. That was in the social compact. So what he did is he attacked me, trying to ruin my reputation, right? And my right to grow in society with business by saying I'm stealing and I'm frauding everyone. He went and did this on public assemblies. He told everyone I stole from people. Made one woman think that she was duped, and so she sent him money, and he frauded her, and she didn't know that that the whole thing was a sham, and she's still here today. She's with me. She's like, you know what? I learned something valuable from you, and Keith manipulated me the whole time. I'm not lying about that. I mean, I'm not saying her name because I don't have her permission to say her name, but I'm pretty sure she'll probably come out and say it because she has no problem. I'm not telling her to, but the claim is there. I'm not lying, is what I'm saying. Okay, so now when people were not looking at the claim of me stealing material because it was bogus, he went to, well, we need to kick this guy out, right? Because he smokes cannabis, he smokes pot. So yeah, let's exile him, just like Matthew Emerson. Let's deny him any court process, any benefit of a court, any of all that. He smokes cannabis. He needs to be out. Now, when everyone was like, why would we go for that? Some of us smoke cannabis, and that creates prohibition, which is dangerous. It creates a war on drugs that any cop can come by and leave a little baggie there and claim it's yours. It happens every day. So you want to implement that. So no one wanted to go along with that. So when he couldn't get me kicked out for me smoking cannabis. Now it's I committed treason. Now think about that for a second. When he was in that telegram, he was there in his private capacity as a member of the ANU in his Genoa Holdings private company. He wasn't there as a postmaster general. Okay? I was there correcting the record. He said I stole, I didn't steal. What I was doing is I was addressing his alleged narcissistic behavior. The way he treats people is dangerous. So you want to know what the start of it is? I shared a picture of a section from the Law of Nations, and I'm going to read it right here. And everyone's going to see this is all spiritual, okay? Because I just put this in chat. I didn't know, in Telegram, I mean. I didn't know what was going to happen from it. But the result from it, and, you know, there's witnesses that come and say it happened. I don't have it anymore because the Telegram was deleted and I didn't get snapshots of it before it got deleted. But there's so many witnesses that'll say it happened. Okay, now before I recite the Law of Nations, here's the social compact. That was a signature party between Keith and me. Right here is Keith Livingway's signature, right here on the top left, very top left. And I'm on the second to the bottom, all the way in the right there. So we're signature parties of this, right? And if you see letter F, it says, all offices within the United States of America will make no regulation hindering the talents of other families under the veil of competition, nor hinder inventions or private enterprise when dealing with energy, food, travel, education, water, and shelter, or anything else unless it is harmful to the organic body. And the information I used is not owned by Keith or anybody else. Okay? Not even this government. They can't have a direct ownership of education and history. History belongs to the people always. If it belonged to the government, then hey, if it could be the Holocaust again, and they can just decide to start erasing history, start burning books. It always belongs to the people. Okay? So there's that. Now, if you can pause.
And you're on.
Okay. So this is what happened. I haven't spoken to Keith after he started accusing me of stealing his classes. I go away for 2.5 months almost. Okay. David Bryan Smith passes away. It makes me think about things. So I decide to, message Keith because like him passing away, him being a GPM, him having an obituary in there, and him, seeing that, David Smith, he was a good man, and so I messaged Keith, and I'm talking about, I want to be an honor, so I'm asking him to reinstate me. I'm not even asking for an apology. I'm telling him things like what's going on in my life a little bit, trying to see if he like seeing, hey, I'm getting better, and as far as my path, as before I was having trouble financially and such, and I was trying to relate to that guy in a way, to have some kind of forgiveness for something I really didn't do. I didn't do it all, actually. So he ignored me, and so what I did is I posted this in Telegram. And the purpose is because what I saw from, Valerie and from Matthew of them having their court cases turned down, well, now I'm like, he threw me away pretty much, and I knew that that's my fate. I knew my fate was my court cases in the future were going to turn down. That's why I haven't been showing up in the assembly. It's why I knew nothing was going to happen for me in the future. So he ignores me or whatever, so I put this in Telegram. This is the Law of Nations. Now, let me tell you this. The government of the United States of America is a signatory party to the Law of Nations. Okay? If you watch any of the T-Rows, right, They say you can't have a nation or a country unless you are subjected under the law of nations. This was published by Vattel in 1758. It's what educated people that led to the Revolutionary War. It's the way we are today because of the law of nations. It's in chain of title. It kind of like tells you how to form a nation under scripture, using scriptural law, right? Torah, and how Yahushua came and, brought us our first republic, and social compacts, and how societies work. Okay, so this is Law of Nations, Book 1, Chapter 1, subsection 17. And to preserve its members. If a nation is obliged to preserve itself, it is no less obliged carefully to preserve all its members. The nation owes this to itself, since the loss of even one of its members weakens it and is injurious to its preservation. It owes this also to the members in particular, in consequence of the very act of association. For those who compose a nation are united for their defense and common advantage, and none can justly be deprived of this union, and of the advantages he expects to derive from it, while he on his side fulfills the conditions. The body of a nation cannot then abandon a province, a town, or even a single individual who is a part of it, unless compelled to it by necessity or indispensable, obliged to it by the strongest reasons founded on the public safety. Okay, so now I want to put this on the record. I put that in Telegram, and Keith came forward and said I was bullying people and him. Now that completely gaslighted me. I wasn't bullying anyone. What happened is I put that in Telegram, and Keith just realized that he's been doing something really evil by throwing people away, arbitrarily exiling people, which you can't do in a country. You can't arbitrarily exile somebody in a country. Are you serious? That's not a country. That is why certain people like Brian Parker is calling you a private club. I haven't spoken to Brian Parker since he left ANU, but that is the reason why he calls you a private club. You can't just throw people away. And you've been throwing people away one after another, one after another. And everybody's been sitting here watching it. Everybody's been sitting here and watching you yell at people. And you target people and call them devil worshippers. You call John Mark Adams a devil worshiper. John Mark Adams never granted you power of attorney to speak for him. How dare you call John Mark Adams a devil worshiper? And you know what? The thing totalitarian communists do is they accuse people for self-projection, what they're guilty of. So do you want to start explaining something, Keith? Because I've never heard you say sorry, not once. That's an unrepentant man. You're very unrepentive. Okay? I've been quiet for a whole month, right? Not because you claim I'm committing rebellion, sedition, whatever. I don't care. The reason why I don't care is because I know it's not true. I don't care. I don't recognize what you have anymore because you attacked me and you attacked other people. You're saying I'm attacking you, right? So now that you claimed, that I committed treason and all that, which, that's so much ridiculous, because now anybody that has any grievance with you, anyone that says anything against you, they need to be put to death. That's what you really said. That's what a dictator is, isn't it? Oh, they're going to come and call me a dictator. Please expect it. I call that damage control. That's what you're trying to do, because you probably know you are one. You can't arbitrarily exile people. You know that. That's what a dictator does. You know you cannot just arbitrarily put someone to death. So you can say whatever you want to people, but the moment they say anything to you, they need to be put to death for treason. Really? Do you really think about that? You said that. I have heard the audio from your T-Rose show, and there's a bunch of witnesses, and the audio is still there. I can go back and play the clip. You said I need to be put to death. But before that, you said the ANU is an autonomous illegal zone because they refused to arbitrarily exile me. Because they showed up in assembly and they had business, and you try to railroad the business of the assembly and try to push just exiling me. And they were like, okay, we're going to look at business for tonight, and then we're going to look at this and give due process to Adam. And, you know, from what I was told, you know, and what I was told is that they already spoke amongst each other, the office holders, and they were just going to tell me to step back for a little bit, not to go away. And they're not exiling me, but, you know, because they knew the claims were so ridiculous, just to step back for a little bit and be quiet. And then things will go back to okay. You know, because why? Because Keith is a dictator. I'll show you a bunch of stuff. Because if you talk against him, you need to be put to death. You say anything against him, you say, no, I didn't steal. You got caught lying so you can promote your private company. You did it for political gains. You're politically motivated. That's the truth. You were destroying my reputation so you can have a better company. And everyone knew about it. Everyone sat there and they were telling me, man, does he not know that we see what he's doing? This guy, is he sick? I'm not saying that because I'm not a doctor, which, by the way, Keith, do you have a license and do you have a professional educated background on drugs? How are you to say someone's a drug addict? Where's your license? Your medical license, buddy? You're practicing medicine without a license? Going around saying who's a drug addict or not? Giving a medical diagnosis? I never granted you any rights and obligations to look after my health. All right? So now the ANU is an autonomous illegal zone because they refused to arbitrarily exile and fast-tracked it. Right? Because it was just thrown onto their lap. They couldn't even sit down and really look at the real evidence. They were trying to fast-track everything. Right? And then what happened is that after, you know, them now claiming the whole ANU committed treason and is an autonomous zone and is communist, right? Right? What happened is that John Mark Adams was an owner of a Telegram account. He didn't know how to remove himself from that account, so what he did is he just removed the GPMs and deleted the account. Oh, now he committed treason for that. Really? He doesn't have to provide his Telegram account that's associated with his mobile number. Are you serious? That's private property, buddy. That he donated that Telegram group so the union can work and communicate. That's his mobile number. His. That's ridiculous what you're claiming. So he didn't like the fact that he was being called a communist and an autonomous illegal zone and all this. So yeah, that was an attack on the states of the union because you were attacking the people. You were attacking everybody in the ANU, right? And you went and you created your own union, you said. So then, yeah, he felt like John Mark Adams had to protect the people in the states of the union, the people in the ANU from the GPOs. The GPMs, I'm sorry, the General Post Office, because they were going around calling all of us communists. So he kicked out everyone from Telegram, the GPMs. And then he deleted the group not shortly after. We all agreed for that group to be deleted. Then the next thing that happened is that Keith goes and does a T-row, and like I said before, it says I need to be put to death. Was he not expecting for me to say something? Like, are you serious? You go on the internet, cyberbully me, and say I need to be put to death. You expect me not to say anything? Of course I'm going to say something. You're making a threat against my life. So that's called entrapment. Is entrapment not illegal? It is indeed illegal. Under customary international law, by treaty and agreement, it is illegal. Can I entrap somebody? So now that we came and we said what's going on because you forced our hand to say something, because you put our names out there on on video and spread it all around and claim millions of people watch it, of course we're going to say something. You're making a threat against our life. I have the right to existence, you know? Then you're going to say, you are going to exile us out of the United States of America. Now, here's the thing. The name of this country is the United States of America. That's chain of title. That name doesn't change. You're not going to exile us out of the United States of America. You don't have that right. You don't even have population in the States to say that. And by the way, right, since we self-exiled, and I'm going to show the publication that you deleted from the newspaper, which denied due process, right? I'm going to show that we self-exiled, which shows forced association. Because we left, and you did this so you can, you know, you don't want people to see that we left. That's why you really did that. And you have a personal vendetta against me and John Mark Adams. Because you're evil. You didn't, all you had to do is go away. We went away. All you had to do is go away. So now after he accuses us of rebellion, sedition, conspiracy to overthrow a government, which was entrapment because he knew we were going to do a rebuttal video because he said I need to be put to death, right? And then he trashed not just me, but a lot of people, and they had something to say because all of them felt they've been wronged by this man. I mean, human rights violations. Okay. So after that, you know, because we made an alleged claim that of his, you know, dangerous narcissistic behavior, right? I'm saying dangerous now. Before it was just addressing narcissistic, but since he hit some of my life, I'm saying dangerous now. This is dangerous narcissistic behavior, right? Okay, so after you know, setting an entrapment, because he knew we was gonna do a rebuttal video, because he said I needed to be put to death, so he knew we were gonna do something, say something, you know, just make a threat against someone's life like that, and expect them not to say anything. So that was complete entrapment, you know. But what happened in the rebuttal video is that a lot of people, because it wasn't just me, but it was a lot of people that felt like they were wronged by Keith Livingway, violated like human rights. He violated human rights, and so it was addressed for his alleged narcissistic behavior. And I say alleged because I'm not no doctor. I can't say that he's a narcissist, but I read some of the traits, and from what I've seen, is that guy is completely apathetic to feelings. He doesn't care what he does to people. That's what I feel and what I see. He doesn't care what he did to me, right? And so his response to that is that I'm a soy boy and a closet gay. I didn't have to say anything. I really didn't. That on its own just shows his character. I mean, I don't need to say anything. I mean, I've never had any thoughts of homosexuality before. I don't even need to say that. I don't care. It's not true. I don't care. I even have lust problems after women. I even admit that. Because, he'll probably come back and say something like that anyways. Oh, he has lust problems. But, I'm a sinner. I can sit here and tell you that, not that I need to tell you about my life. I can tell you that I know my problems. And I know where I need repentance for. But the problem is that is just damage control. And he's trying to hide the fact, right, that we made a claim. And maybe it's true. That's what he's probably thinking. What if it's true? Because a lot of people are claiming it, that he's an alleged narcissistic. Alleged. Okay. So he went into calling us soy boys and closet gays, and then he started calling us backstabbers. He said before the backstabbing started happening. I don't know about any backstabbing. You gaslighted me on Telegram. You forced me to tell to actually, tell the truth so I can, become back in honor, so people know that I ain't stealing and frauding them. I have the right. I have that right. And I didn't do it. I didn't do it in such a way where I try to ruin your reputation, meaning charge you in the Human Rights Tribunal and put all these notices out on you and whatever, that anybody Googles your name, they'll see it. That's called cyberbullying. When you know very well a person's innocent. So you did this after another, and you went claim after claim after claim, and it's ridiculous. First, you can't prove any of it. How can you prove it? There's no evidence. Now, from what I've seen you before, right? Every claim you put in the newspaper before, you've always provided evidence. Not these claims. You just write it's an autonomous legal zone, boom. You just write they're communists, boom. They're drug cartels, boom. Oh, because you say it's true? You know, none of that is true. Okay? I don't care what you say. None of that's true. I fought for this country the last 7 years when I became knowledgeable of what's happening. Before, I was completely dumb. I was ignorant of what was going on around me. 7, 8 years ago. That's when I started realizing what tyranny is, and oppression and persecution. So I knew what Holocaust and genocide is because that's programmed in my genes, right in my cells. I had great aunts that were burned in gas chambers. My grandfather witnessed his own man, his dad, die at age of 6. This is not a fantasy or a fake story. This really happened. My grandfather witnessed my great grandfather die at the age 6 from starvation because they had to hide from Nazis in the rubble during the day. And my grandfather, at the age of 6, has to come out at night, the scavenger for food. At age 6. So I know what a communist country, what a murderous country is. And right now, I don't see you no different from a murderer. I'm charging you with attempted murder. Do you understand that? I don't care if you claim it political and not criminal. You can go ahead and say that because you say that before, right? You put notices, libels. You published libels out on me. Do you understand that? You're claiming slander when we put that little snippet, which is not out of context. You said that to a woman, right? That was just trying to give you a suggestion on WordPress and claim that was an attack. Why don't you just be honest? She was annoying you. Why don't you just knock her off the call? You know, she's a guest, right? Just knock her off the call. Why would you think you need to punish her? You know, that's how a country is judged, by how many homeless there are and the way they treat their people. Country and the government's not there to punish their people. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, dangerous men need to be removed from society that wish other men harm, that are going to do harm to other men, right? And then you put notices that we're trying to conspire to overthrow a government by violence and force. Please show the evidence. I've never threatened you violence or force whatsoever. Please show the evidence. When have I ever been violent to you? I addressed your character. I mentioned you got caught. You got caught lying, claiming I stole so you can gain favor politically for your private company, so you can make more money. It was all political, for money, so you can advance. Who cares about me, right? Who cares about me? So you go on your little broadcast and you say they're attacking your union. We were in that union. You were attacking us, so we left. How were we attacking the union? Please tell me. None of us were attacking the union. You know what happened? What happened is that the ANU convened right? They were having business, and people were inviting me on because of what happened on Telegram. They wanted to see me and talk to me because a lot of them, from a week prior, you were attacking them, and they don't understand. You're how many people you've been attacking? Your own people, right? Because they do resident declaration. It's like, you do a resident declaration and you become, it becomes a playground for Keith to go around and, insult whoever in the public, slander whoever in the public. Anybody says anybody against him, he's attacking a government, treason, rebellion, insurrection, all that. They need to be put to death for treason because they talked against the dignity of this office holder. Sounds like a dictator to me. Okay. All right. So next, I would like to do some screenshots. Now, they're going to come back and say all this crap about me, sharing government property, blah blah blah. At this point, you put hits on my life. I don't care right now. Right? I have the right to self-defense. So the point is all this is spiritual. You're accused of arbitrarily throwing people away, exiling people. Can't do that. You're looking for enforcement for a government and a country, and you're arbitrarily exiling people, and that's a big thing. Who knows what will happen if you ever get enforcement? A lot of innocent people would be murdered, I imagine, because you put 3 attempts against my life, and I haven't finished going over what you did, but I am going to share this. This is Telegram. This is a conversation. The T Row Show is Keith, TS T Row Show. The committee is working out some issues with the office of the SOS, the Secretary of State. No more talking to people one-on-one and teaching them about this government. This will give Tom time to write letters and send them to other countries. This is Tom Gowdy, okay? Which I thought was a friend. So this is what Keith does. He divides everybody. Because I never had a problem with Tom before. But you know what? You go against Keith, he'll take away your status and standing. I remember this last week. Last week he had a T-Row show. He said, "Hey, if you accept the chip, if you upset one of them, you say something they don't like, they shut off your chip. You're done. That's it. Can't buy or sell or anything. You're done. You can't buy or sell." Right? Well, how's this any different? You say anything against Keith, he kicks you out of the union. You don't have rights to commerce and trade. That's it. You're exiled. You're out. No states of the union for you. You're out of the United States of America. I don't know, what was he planning to do? He plans to have me deported? Are you serious? Because I'm not going to put up with that. And then Tom comes back and says, "Welcome to inhabitant status." Inhabitant means a slave. Are you trying to claim I'm a slave? I ain't your slave, buddy. And think about this. I'd be one horrible slave. I promise. I'd not be a good slave. I would not do anything you tell me to. Nothing. I would disobey every command and order you give me. I would be a horrible slave. All right? So back to this. The committee is working some issues with the office of the SOS. No more talking to people one-on-one and teaching them about this government. This will give Tom to write letters and send them out to other countries. The office of the government can take the calls from individuals. Tom only takes calls from businesses. Heads of states, Indian tribes, foreign diplomats that have credentials, no buddy calls. Tom holds the office of foreign affairs at the temple. So he contacts other churches in America and spreads the news about born again and what is missing from their teachings. We need some phone training in handling foreign affair calls because he was very close to treason the other day on one call with Jessica. Tom needs to set boundaries. He needs to step in when a caller is disrespected one of the office holders. Oh, there he goes, claiming Tom treason just because Keith had a disagreement with this woman. That not to say, what if Tom didn't agree with Keith there? Tom could be Keith's friend and still not agree with whatever Keith's saying in that moment. Tom doesn't have to come to Keith's aid every time. It has to be selective because it has to be by claim, right? So what? Now he's claiming treason. I don't know the full story, so I can't say that. And he can come back and say that's out of context. But I don't care. I'm talking about what I'm thinking as I'm reading this, because there's a lot of blanket treason claims going around. Obviously, Keith wants an army, right? Tom needs to set boundaries. He needs to step in when a caller is disrespecting one of the office holders. Tom does not set boundaries, and therefore, if another office holder sets boundaries, they get really offended because the tone of the call is not set in the first instant. The callers do not have any respect for Tom, so he spreads that. The callers do not have any respect for Tom, so that spreads to everyone else, and they think they can come in and take over and get offended when they cannot. Business and publish entity certificates the number is a number one priority. Tom has had 60 finished business certificates since June of last year, and they are still not sent out or published. No excuses for that at all. That is called refusing to do a job. If we cannot get past these simple issues, I would like Alice in that office, and we can give Tom some job that does not require my thinking or effort. So is he calling Tom dumb or something? I don't think Tom is dumb. That's just mean to save somebody. That's not an empath. That's someone completely apathetic to someone's feelings. Tom some job that does not require any thinking or effort. Tom Gowdy, he comes back. I have nothing to report and nothing to say except thank you for the journey. So, Tom is already thinking. I can't speak for him. I apologize. But the way I'm reading this and the way I'm comprehending this in my own thoughts, right? What I think, right, is he's like thinking he's being thrown away. You need to get on the call so we can all hash this out. We have to fix the SOS office. Otherwise, are you Tom abandoning office? You decide on it. You have it under control. I have screwed it up, so I have abandoned nothing. Then you need to get your tail end on the call and stop running from this issue. We are having a private call after the assembly to get this squared away. I'm not running. You have already made your choice. You have already had your discussions and made up your choice. Nothing I will say change it. That is where you have been wrong this whole time. The assembly is the one that makes a decision and fixes things. Just because I want something does not mean it happens. I believe that's the end of it. Okay, so this is where it's really funky because he didn't went to the National Assembly to kick me out. He just did it on a temple assembly. I wasn't even there on that call on the temple, but you know, um, he just decides to pretty much kick me out of the GPO, kick me out of the social compact. And the way I see it is these people are coming and defending Keith and being witness and signing indictments like William Reffitt. Okay, now let me tell you something about William Reffitt, right? John Mark Adams spent a lot of his time and his energy getting paperwork together, okay, and getting that paperwork sent out so William Reffitt could get out of jail. That was John Mark Adams. He worked on your behalf. He worked to get you out of jail. You come out and you sign an indictment against him? You serious? And to top it off, I don't care. You attack us, I'm going to do a background check on you. And guess what? I found a rap sheet on you with I don't know how many DUIs. It's definitely over 10. Obviously, you don't understand the answer no. You don't understand the answer no. You are not understanding that driving under the influence of alcohol is illegal. You think I'm going to recognize an indictment from you, signed by you? You're freaking crazy. You're out of your mind. Stay off the liquor, man. Going behind the wheel and driving while intoxicating. How many times? You got a rap sheet, man. I don't think I don't think anyone will respect you on a jury when you don't even understand the answer no. Right? And then Christopher Michael Doherty. Oh, he's special prosecutor. It's gonna be funny if that man wants to get in front of me. Because I'm gonna tell you a lot of things about Christopher Michael Doherty. I spent time, he invited me in his house. Okay. Um, Christopher Michael Doherty likes to make things up as he goes. Very, very common with him. I hear it all the time. I'm like, is this guy crazy? He makes the most crazy things, says the most crazy things. Okay. We had a case with Leslie that's not going to get any due process anymore. We know that. She's with us, so she's most likely part of the exile and all that. But she had a case on the Human Rights Tribunal, and this guy was harassing her, and he wouldn't leave her alone and everything. And pretty much it got out of hand, and she has nothing there anymore because because she's with us. In that case, it's not going to be judged by people who are claiming this on us, all this stuff on us. Christopher Michael Doherty, likes to make things up as he goes. Like for an example, Leslie had a case, and it passed through the great jury. It's already out of the great jury, so and it's the case is done for because they're not going to rule on it. They're not going to judge because she's with us, right? But Chris Doherty, when the case was in the great jury, he was serving on the great jury, and she brings an affidavit to which I've helped her with, right? And I seen the evidence myself, so I know she ain't lying, and I was a witness on it. So we put in the affidavit what this guy, was doing to her and what he was saying to her when he was harassing her. He was pretty much saying, when she asked him, "Why are you doing this stuff to her?" He said, that he wants her to never forget, something like that nature. He wants her to never forget. So we put that in the affidavit, and then when it goes to the great jury, Christopher Doherty stops everyone. He says, "No, what you have to do is you have to take that out of the affidavit, fix that, and bring that back to the jury, right?" And so they stop the whole jury proceeding just for that, and they come to me because they know I'm. A lot of people come to me because they kind of sense that I'm intelligent about due process and the law. And I don't know, I guess I'm not cocky or shallow or anything, but I like to do my due diligence. I like to learn things, so I study international law. So they come to me because I did some jury classes, and they know I know stuff about a jury, and they know about I know claims and affidavits, how to claim upon where relief can be granted. And so they the great jury foreman comes to me and he says the jury's been on halt because Chris Doherty said that there's a claim in the affidavit that she needs to remove because for some reason I don't know what. And I'm like, wait, what? You He can't do that. He's a member of the jury. He's tampering with a claim. You can't tamper with a claim, right? So so they were like, okay, the purpose of a jury is to weigh on the evidence. That's all they do. They look at the evidence and they're like, okay, can we make this accusation or not? Can we make an indictment or not? That's all a jury can do, right? That's what they're supposed to do. The reason is that is because it's a serious thing to make an accusation against someone. I used to work for Radio Shack in my early 20s, and it was a subdivision of Radio Shack that sold cell phones inside Sam's Club. And when I used to work in Sam's Club in Sunrise, Florida, one of the loss prevention guys for Sam's Club used to walk around and talk to us sometimes. He was a friendly guy, right? We had plenty of conversations, but one of them was, what would happen if he wrongly accused someone of stealing? Well, he said, first of all, the only way he can accuse someone of stealing is if they're outside the store. He can't accuse someone of stealing while they're inside the store. He also said this. He said if he was going to accuse someone of stealing, he had to have sufficient evidence to prove that they were stealing. Otherwise, if he went outside and accused someone of stealing that did not steal, not only he can lose his job, but he can have charges pressed against him. That's defamation and embarrassment in public, public property. You can't make a blank accusation against someone. It damages their life. What you did, Keith, yeah. You're putting hits on me 3 times already, right? You went on your T-Rose show and said I need to be put to death. You don't do that. That's attempted murder 1, right? So before there's any, talk about insurrection, rebellion, sedition, conspiracy to overthrow government, we need to address attempted murder charges on you against me, right? That's number 1. 2, you said I was claiming to form a drug cartel, and I was using the ANU to buy drugs. I never bought drugs from anybody in the ANU. Say that again. I've never bought drugs from anybody in the ANU. I don't know anybody that sold it. No one sold it to me through the ANU. You understand me? That's a fact. All right? Number 3, in the indictment, you started talking about a Vimeo account of mine with a Rothschild case, right? I mean, I got confused with what you're claiming there. You're saying I removed the Vimeo, I removed the case or the recording or something. It's still there. I didn't remove it whatsoever. Or are you claiming that what do you call it? I trespass on court records for putting on my Vimeo account? I told you I was going to put on my Vimeo account. I brought it to your attention to ask you if that was okay. You had no objections to it. You told me to go do it because the reason why we brought that to your attention is because the files were too big to go on the Human Rights Tribunal website. So we had to make it a small file or a link or something to insert it into the jackets as a link. You were perfectly fine with it going on my Vimeo account. You had no objections with it back then. And you know what happened? I forgot all about them. That's what happened. I forgot those recordings happened for months now. You're saying I'm tampering with court records? I don't know how. Your claim is stupid. But the purpose I'm making of this, right, is that you brought up Rothschild. There's many court records with under my Vimeo account. You brought up the Rothschild case. Why? Is it because you were going around claiming that the Rothschild are dangerous? They actually told me that a week before you kicked me out of the GPO. You were mean to me several times, right? A week before you kicked me out of the GPO, right? You said the Rothschild are very dangerous, and I just made the statement that I just follow Yahushua. I don't need to fear any man. I just follow Yahushua. My soul rests with the Most High. He tells me where, or not tells me, but controls where my soul goes. And I didn't say it just like that, but what I pretty much said is that I have Yahushua. I don't need to fear the Rothschild. And he told me to shut up. I'm annoying. I don't know why you would say that to somebody. And I did. I shut up. I went quiet. That did hurt my feelings. And what sucks is that a week before you kicked me out of the GPO and you started being mean to me and accusing me of stealing, I bought a $350 trust from you. And I also was supposed to have a month of consultation for that trust. I mean, I didn't need it. I understood pretty much everything in that trust. I knew how to comprehend it easy. But I was supposed to get consultation, and that was those obligations were violated because you told me to go to, in quote, fuck off, pretty much. So Chris Doherty, right? He tells people that he has to stop a whole jury because he wanted to tamper with an affidavit. So I told him you can't do that. So they had to put it back into the jury. This is a common thing with Christopher Michael Doherty. Okay. Now this is why I won't recognize him as a prosecutor on the case. A couple of weeks ago, Keith did a video with the same one where he was defaming my character, and he had a few claims. Like I stole from my sister because I stayed with her for a couple months. Well, my sister, my little sister, you could go and call her. Reach out to me. I'll give you her number. She's not claiming I stole from her. Is Keith claiming power of attorney from my sister and saying I stole from my sister? Because she's not claiming that. This is Keith's words, not hers. Okay. He also said that I interfered with Christopher Michael Doherty's affairs because he had a tenant in his house, and I suggested to Christopher Doherty, to tell his tenant that he was being evicted. Oh, they were all being evicted. The house was being foreclosed, and they were all being evicted. Now let me tell you something. When I was at the age of 6, my dad, he had 2 jobs. He was a school administrator. He was actually a teacher, I think, at that time. I was very young. But he was a school teacher at a middle school. And at night, he worked at a department store. The department store is closed now. I think it was called either Marvin's or Mervin's or something like that. And my dad was gone all day. He had 2 jobs. He worked. He was a very honest and responsible man. He made sure the bills were paid. He had children, right? He paid bills. Okay, he was honest, responsible. One day, my mom, who didn't even speak English because she was born and raised in Israel, and she's living in this country now. My dad was born here. He was born in Philadelphia. And so my dad's a national of this country. He was born here. So, one day, my mom gets a knock on the door, and it's the deputy sheriff, and my siblings are right next to her. They speak English. My mom doesn't. But the sheriff says, we're being evicted. We have 2 days. We have 2 days to get all our stuff outside, or he's gonna come and he's gonna remove all our stuff. If our stuff breaks, it's not his problem, and he's gonna remove us physically. 2 days. My dad called the bank because he was honest. He always paid the rent. He was renting. It wasn't mortgaged to him. He was renting at that time. And because he was paying his bills and he was tenant there, he wasn't the owner. He wasn't mortgaged. It was all leased there. The bank gave him a month so we can find a place to go so we weren't put out in the street. Okay? Now, this guy Jermaine, which is Chris Doherty's tenant back then, this guy Jermaine, and I was there, right? He was honest. He paid his bills. He paid his rent. And he was a friend of mine. Even Doherty was a friend of mine. But this guy Jermaine, he was honest and he paid his rent. He had his rent on time every month, right? If you notice most of the T-Rose shows, Keith is always talking about equal rights. He's put this country, he's put this union together. Not the union really, but because that was the people in the States of the Union, right? But he put the government of the United States of America and the GPO together. That's great. That's wonderful. The devil knew the Bible from front and back, so it's great that you know some knowledge too. Still goes back to what I said before. You don't have love in your heart. You can call me a soy boy or closet gay because I said that, but in the scripture it actually says you need to love your brother. So when I say, I love my brother, I mean that in a biblical sense, meaning I love my brother in the way the Bible says I should love my brother. And you take that and you twist it up to a soy boy and a closet gay. So, you know what? You have nothing. That's what I meant last time when I did my rebuttal. The spirit of the law is not in you. So Chris Doherty refuses to tell his tenant that they were being evicted. And he shows me the notice. His tenant, Jermaine, is on the notice. It's saying, Jermaine, you're being evicted. So Chris Doherty was being evicted. Jermaine was being evicted. Where's the equal rights, Chris Doherty? I was like, you need to tell your tenant, man, you can't make him homeless. You can't wait till the last minute where the sheriff shows up, because they said they were going to be there in 2 weeks when I saw the notice. It didn't happen until a month later, right? But sure enough, the sheriff did show up to kick all them out. And Chris Doherty didn't want to tell him. He just wanted the sheriff to show up and kick him out and make him homeless, not have any time to find somewhere to go. Tell me, you don't think that's evil? So Keith is over there talking about, oh, this guy interfered with Chris Doherty's affairs. He cost him money. He could have had months' rent and saved his house. He could have saved his home. No. Chris Doherty was about 4 years delinquent on his mortgage. They were not going to accept a payment from him. He was being evicted. His house got auctioned off. It doesn't matter if foreclosures are illegal or whatever. I know they're 100% illegal. 100% illegal. And in fact, any court that takes a foreclosure case and an eviction case has to first put that person in another shelter before they evict them. They can't make people homeless. It's illegal to do so. You can't do that to somebody. So where's the equal rights there? They're not there with Keith. It's very conditional. It's only when Keith says it's equal rights. Because Keith can come on the call and slander you in front of everybody. You stole from him. But the moment, hey, you may be an alleged narcissist. Oh, that's treason. You need to be put to death. I know this is a really long recording, whatever, but they're going to say they're not going to go through it and they're not going to listen to it, which, Keith did. Because when I heard his little T-Row show after our rebuttal, he's like, I only listened to 3 minutes of it. And then he started quoting things we said halfway through the recording or the audio or whatever, and stuff that we said at the end. So, yeah, he listened to it. We're not stupid. So Chris Doherty, very unrepentive, because for months he was trashing me privately that, I got into his affairs. I'm like, dude, what you did is evil, man. You're going to make someone that you had obligations to tell that you're being foreclosed. Actually, in most lease agreements, that it says stuff like that, including, if you're a tenant, it says you can't rent out another, unit or a room unless it's been discussed with the owner, the lessor. The leasee cannot do that. Right? And the lessor has obligations as well to imply human rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is there. Human rights still apply. So, what happened a couple months after that, Chris Doherty, his dad and Chris Doherty asked me to help Chris Doherty move his stuff out of storage. I was staying in New Hampshire at the time. His dad lived out in New Hampshire, and Doherty was living out in Weymouth, Massachusetts. So his dad comes and picks me up, and I spend a little time with his dad. And I tell his dad about Jermaine and the story, and his dad freaked out. He's like, that's some bullshit. And that night, Chris Doherty emailed me, and he said, why did you tell my dad? Man, I got so trashed from it. I'm like, good, because you're unrepentant of it. I did that because I was your friend. If you don't care about other people, I don't want to be around people that don't care about other people, because, if I'm around those type of people, it'll make me like that. I don't need to be like that. I like caring about people. So I'm not this guy that's unrepentant of human rights. I'm not going to recognize him prosecuting. That's a joke. This guy that has a rap sheet of how many DUIs, William Ruffett, I'm not going to recognize it, you prosecuting. You're going to come in and sign an indictment right after some guy helps you get out of jail. Some guy that didn't do anything to you. He didn't do anything to you. I didn't do anything to you. This Brandon Allen Anderson, right? I read his affidavit. Oh, I taught history. Oh, I taught chain of title. Oh, I taught court structure and due process and affidavits. Ooh, you paid $45 for 4 hours of my time. 4 hours of me putting things in perspective for you. That's You were the only one that made that claim. The other person on that call that was long on that class with you, he laughed at you. That's a friend of mine. He say that your claim is garbage because you got a lot. You were over there in the end of that class saying how good it was and how much you learned, how much things became in perspective for you. He's my witness on that. And then you go and you try to gain favor from Keith because you think he's going to protect you. I protected that man for 3 years. Look what he's doing. And there's like one thing I want to show about Christopher Michael Doherty, because this man wants to put a hit on me, right? There's no way I can never take this man serious, all right? And because he does stupid stuff. Yeah, before we go into closing this, first I want to show the snapshots that we took with timestamped on the objection rebuttal we put in the newspaper. Okay. So right here, it shows that our comment was waiting moderation. It was December 4, 2020 at 12:08. Can you, moderator, go to the snapshot of what was posted? Okay, thank you. This is what we posted, and it was completely removed from the website, from the newspaper. Which how can you do that if you're in your code of ethics? You're going to report accurately, and you're going to allow opposition to be in there to show truth. It's all about the truth, right? So why conceal it? I mean, they call that misprision when you're trying to conceal crimes or anything, right? Concealment, misprision. So legal notice, objection to political exile. This decision, made within the bilateral social compact agreement, rejects and rebuts the political declaration made by this newspaper. Okay. Now we didn't say names because we didn't want to be attacked, cyberbullied by this man Keith Livingway. He knew it was us. And we said bilateral social compact agreement, and we all sent an email with a self exile, declared exile from the American National Union and the government of the United States of America. Okay. So this decision made within the bilateral social compact agreement rejects and rebuts the political declaration made by this newspaper. No one here worships the state, and everybody recognizes private property rights, and the people are not to be regulated by the states. This compact was accused of being communist for rejecting a war on drugs and implementing prohibition that exiles innocent civilians and that has cost many lives. Okay, so they were trying to exile me for smoking cannabis, and no one wanted prohibition. Further, we can settle and separate and do not have to war with each other. This compact is not a coup. That's true. Nobody organized this. It just happened. So he keeps on coming back and saying this is a coup. We are, rebelling and sedition and insurrection, trying to overthrow a government and all that. No, none of that. It's all in his head. That, or he's lying. Why? Because the claims that been made against him, now he's like thinking, well, did I lose all the work that I've been put together for the last 10 years? The only thing I say to that is you reap what you sow. You just made me work for nothing. No pay, no nothing for 3 years. 3 years. Everyone witnessed it. A lot of people were upset because of it. I wouldn't be surprised if half the stuff that went in the newspaper came from me. I'm not exaggerating either. I'm not shallow. I'm not cocky. I don't think the world of myself. I'm just telling you because I'm the one that contributed. I know what I contributed. A lot of the stuff that you claimed you found, it was actually I found it. I found it and I gave it to you. I said things on committee and told you things, and hear it 2 weeks later on T-Row. I don't remember how many times that happened, but it's happened a lot. A lot. I would say something 2 weeks later, I would hear it on T-Row. Okay? So I say here, we can settle and we can separate. We are not a coup. We are not trying to remove the government of the United States of America. Back then, yeah, we had our grievance against you, but you were speaking some truth, and we didn't want to stop that. You know, the issue today is you're attacking us. So you think we're just going to remain quiet? And then, from what I've heard over and over and over, wait till we have an enforcement. All the people that said anything against us, we're just going to put them in prison. Some will be executed. So, I doubt you'll ever get enforcement because the way you treat people, the way you try to conceal all this, so you can what? What are you doing? What is your intention, Keith, of all this? We sent you an email when we put the rebuttal video, and we said if you take down that 205 T-Row where you said I need to be put to death, if you take that down, we'll take down the rebuttal video. You said no. You said it was talked amongst everyone else, and no. So everyone is being charged with attempted murder by me. Okay? Kevin Lloyd Lakes, Keith Edward Livingway, Trent Winsley Saylor, Peter Nickel, okay? Alice Seniceros, Juan Seniceros, McLean Joe Formanak, right? Chris Malowski, Tom Gowdy, Howard Walker, Christopher Michael Doherty, William Reffett, Brandon Gibbs, Brandon Anderson. All right. You are all being charged with attempted murder. Therefore, Kevin Lloyd Lakes, Trent Winsley Saylor, Peter Nickel, Howard Walker, anyone else, Christopher Malowski, Tom Gowdy, all of you cannot serve as an international notary or a judge on a case with me because there's a conflict of interest. You have to recuse yourself. You're being charged with attempted murder. You cannot have a case against me. And for one thing, a court is a benefit, and there's no benefit with you guys. You're not going to correct no record. You deleted this objection. You've violated free speech. That's a due process violation. You expect me to give you, for you to give me due process throughout this whole case? You don't think that we're going to take you serious, right? You violate due process, and you said it yourself. We don't have to give him due process, but we didn't give him due process, but now we'll give him due process. Yeah, how are you going to sell that to anybody? Please tell me. The whole purpose of due process is to correct the record and make sure human rights are upheld. No rights can be violated. Okay? So free speech has been violated. Our objection has been removed. What else does it say? Further, this compact is abandoning the... Well, one day you say it's autonomous illegal zone and it needs to be cleaned out, So what we did you a favor. We left. We did what you wanted. We left. And then you came back and attacked us again. That sounds pretty vindictive to me. Does not sound vindictive. We left. This compact will exist as a separate and independent spheres and not in competition or rivalry with the government of the United States of America. Here's the thing. In the law of nations, it says there could be multiple national governments within a claim meets and bounds and seaward boundaries, right? There could be multiple compacts, right? So, and I apologize for saying right and yes all the time. It's actually 3 in the morning and I'm tired. I'm exhausted from working all day and actually working in, 30-degree weather. So I'm beat. I work so I can survive. I'm not, I'm not what Keith claims I am. This compact has the right of self-determination as a republic within the responsible party doctrine. So we have the right to self-determination, determination as an assembly to peacefully assemble under social compact and political party, right? Be constituted properly with the correct separation of a judicial, executive, and a legislator, right? And have elections with a population, and that be all legal. You can't say anything about it. You can go ahead, but we're not going to recognize it, and you'll be violating the law of nations anyways. You see, here's the thing. I've heard it from your own mouth. You said in your own words, we can't prosecute the U.S. We can't prosecute the Rothschild. We can't prosecute all these foreign entities because they're foreign. And it's true. It does say that in the law of nations. France cannot go and prosecute someone in Germany. Okay, someone from Russia cannot go and prosecute someone in Africa. They're foreign countries. They have diplomacy that works that way. Diplomatic relations. Someone's supposed to go through someone's Secretary of State. You CC'd an indictment to Mike Pompeo. Are you saying we're U.S. citizens? Are you claiming power of attorney and speaking for me? Because I don't claim I'm a U.S. citizen, and that'd be forced association. That'd be trafficking in persons as well. Do you understand me? That's trafficking in persons. So how many crimes have you committed, Keith? It's pretty a lot. There's due process violations all over this. This indictment is crap. And I just crapped all over your indictment. Because you have nothing. You showed no evidence of anything. Where's your evidence? I looked at that thing. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. Yeah, show us where we violently threaten you. You threatened me. You said I need to die on your T-Row show. All right. So everyone that was accused, they want me to read something, and so I'm gonna read something that we all put together. In conclusion, we, the unjustly indicted, have determined that the reason why we have been wrong, fully accused as insurrectionists, is that Keith Edward Livingway required an enemy from within at attacking the ANU. Why? In his role as trustee, the only way he can place the ANU into trust, though there were lawfully elected oath and affirmed leadership in place, is to declare an attack and insurrection. This was the only way he could regain control of the ANU to place the people he wants in key leadership positions and in the assembly, who dare not challenge him. The people on this indictment, unjustly, that were presented at the time of defining incident in the ANU, were addressing Keith Edward Livingway, trustee, to his PMA, his private membership association, not a political office. With regards to the alienation of assembly members he cannot control, that confront him on the UDHR trespasses he commits arbitrarily, and those members that desire to set up business that may compete and lessen his share of the education services in the ANU. And that's all I have to close with saying. And so I don't know what people believe these days, just look at what's happening in this world. A lot of people, they blindly follow lies. So people are going to believe what they want to believe. But, at this point, I'm putting all the evidence out there. And whoever acts on whatever actions, just know there's liabilities for things, you do without full closure to things. And, without, any merit in the first place. So I'll close with that and thank you.